Blender may be open source, but is it open to sharing its secrets? Warning, what I'm about to show you is going to change how you use Blender forever. Only proceed with this tutorial if you're ready to be amazed. So, what is it that I have to show you? It's actually that was a weird thing, but either way, it's a quick tip that will actually help you out with the lighting with a lot of your renders, and it's something that's kind of unintuitive and I guess a lot of people don't know about. So first of all, let me go into rendered mode. I'm using Eevee, and what I want to focus on is this light, right? The light source is close to the cube, so it's illuminating it here, and this area is in shadow, and you can control it like this. And everybody knows if you have your light selected, you go into the light settings, you can actually control the power of this. So a lot of power, or sorry, 300 is a little power, 3000 is a lot of power, etc. But let's say you were to drag this all the way to the left, right? Once you drag it all the way to the left to 0, this light is essentially mute. If we were to delete it, nothing happens, right? Because it doesn't have any power, it doesn't have any strength. But it doesn't actually let you go negative, nor would we know what it means. So while it doesn't let you scroll to negative, if you were to type in a number, like negative 1000, so instead of scrolling, you type it in, it actually lets you get there. And it's actually doing some weird stuff. It's almost like it's removing light from the scene. Let me make it a little less intense, negative 100. Yes, you can have negative power, negative emission, so that's for cycles. And this actually removes light from the scene, and it almost makes it look like the other side's brighter. It's very strange. But for example, if you were to take a model that you're lighting here, 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 and you're trying to balance light, wouldn't it be useful to have some lights that actually remove color from a certain, or not color, remove light from a certain area? If you have a cave, for example, and you want the entrance to the cave to kind of look very dark, but all your lights have too much bounce going on, you could put a negative light in that area. This would also be useful for something like a black hole, which literally doesn't let light escape. So let's take this a step further. Cycles does pretty much the same thing. In fact, it looks nicer. You see we have this nice fall off and everything. But let's say we were to keep, power of 1000, which is what it is by default. You could also enable use nodes. So now we can control the emission strength using what's essentially the node. So you can see here we have the nodes for this light. We can also make it negative over here. So I'm just going to type it in through here. So let's say -1, which makes it -1 over here. This also does the same thing, which does indicate that since this works with emission values, there's no reason we can't do this with any emissive material. So let's use a UV sphere, create a material. I'm just going to make it a emission material, which means since we're using cycles, it's going to cast a light on our object. Let's make that red, make that 2. So you see it's actually casting a light on our object, whereas with something like Eevee, it doesn't really do that. I'm sure there's a setting for it. You can do light probe stuff, but whatever. It cycles, it does work. And you can set it to a negative value. So let's do -1. And notice, okay, it's taking light away from the scene, but not only that, you're noticing that it's blue, which is the complement to red, and I'm assuming it would just always pick the opposite color. So we're in red, blue is the opposite side of this. Let's say we were to go to purple. Purple is sending us to green, as you can see on this cube. Why? Because it's on the opposite side of the color wheel. Blue should send us to yellow, etc. So this is an interesting way to not only affect color, but lighting, and I don't know. It's a very, very strange concept. I just like the idea that it didn't let you go to negative values unless you type it in. It makes it this kind of secret thing. And the reason they're doing that is they don't want to confuse people, right? They clamp it so that, nothing weird goes on. But, you could totally do that. So there you go. Use this to better light your scenes, remove light from an area that you don't want. It's not only about adding light, it's about removing it to get a nice render. So that's the little trick. But I did a lot of reading into this. It's actually removing light as opposed to casting black, which are different things. And the fact that this is the case means that you could use it for all your lighting tricks. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did and want to support me and get bonus tutorials and a bunch of other things, Patreon, quite frankly, is the only way to do it. There's a link in the description if you're interested. Get your tutorial files, get extra tutorials, get behind the scenes, get Discord access, get so much more. And that's it. That's everything. Thanks for watching.